What we are seeing today on the global marketplace is that software is eating the world. As a result of that, more and more software engineers are required, and top priority of R&D managers today is to find those engineers and to build effective and productive teams quickly, because time to market is imperative. In Western Europe, product companies, manufacturing companies that work in different industries all have the priority to innovate using software, and they see that that is something that will bring them a competitive advantage over the next few decades. New technologies like artificial intelligence, cloud, big data, all of that requires a lot of engineers to implement, and as a result of that, there is more and more need for software engineers, and there is bigger gap everywhere in the world between supply and demand. This is the challenge, and R&D managers address this challenge in different ways. First one is to try to hire locally. And this is a good option if you can find resources and if you can keep them. Then second option is obviously to find external resources. It doesn't matter do you open an engineering center or you search for external third party. And both of those options to develop externally involve risk. To evaluate how big this risk is, you need to take some things into consideration. First one is size. Second one is time, how much time you have to build effective team. Third one is, do you have processes that are mature inside of your engineering organization? Do you have team leaders that know how to manage distributed teams, or you don't? How complex is a product or a technology you are using? How big management overhead you can tolerate? So all these key considerations need to be taken into account when you decide which option to choose. And each option has pros and cons regarding these key considerations. So let's first talk about opening a remote engineering organization. You have to consider that it takes time, it takes management overhead, and it is very, very risky if you already don't have experience with opening such engineering centers, because distributed development is very different than development in the same location. So it pays off only if you have size. If you need an engineering center with 10 or 20 engineers, it doesn't make sense. Next option is obviously to outsource, to find a third-party vendor and to do development with third-party vendor. In this situation, there are primarily two engagement models how outsourcing companies today work. First one is something that is called staff augmentation. And that basically means that you have, let's say, two Java engineers, two .NET engineers, Q&A tester, and this option is very flexible. It just works in small scale, and it works if those resources are at your location. If resources are on another location, it falls apart. The second option is actually a fixed price project outsourcing. In that case, you have to define specs upfront. You define time and budget upfront, and that will ensure you that you will get more or less what you really asked for. But big disadvantage of this approach is lack of flexibility, because you have to define upfront what are the requirements. And in today's fast-moving world, it is impossible to do it, because requirements are changing on an ongoing basis. If you look at our industry, basically outsourcing industry has a very bad reputation. Statistics say, and that is not a secret, that 60–70% of engagements fail. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? We at Serengeti asked ourselves how to make this better and more efficient. We came out with our own model, which we call Extended R&D Workbench. So basically, how this model works. What if you could get talented engineers working in a team with a team manager, working on a distant location with knowledge of your industry and domain, and working in agile model on a very complex core product development, while achieving same or even higher level of productivity and quality that you achieve with your own team. That is our goal in extended R&D workbench model. There are two success criteria that we measure in our model. First one is management overhead. We want to put as little management overhead on our customers as possible, and we see that is mandatory because our customers, they simply don't have management resources available. They even suffer with using them for their internal employees and not to mention external. And second success criteria is productivity and quality level that we want to achieve, and that needs to be at least on the same level as customer has with internal resources. So we use those two success criteria when we measure how good we are in delivering our service. And how we do that? So our model is basically we are perfecting our onboarding phase. And we send first core team on site on customer location, and they work together with the customer with a focus on knowledge transfer and building communication and building connectivity. When they come to Zagreb, to our location, they work off-site, and in that phase we have very strict quality management procedures in place to ensure that they will first achieve productivity level that is necessary, and then later maintain them. So in today's world, we see that global environment has changed dramatically in the last 5 years, and companies that will be able to use it to their advantage, they will be strong competitors on the market, and those that don't use it, they will fade away.